This is the clay as it comes out the pug mill. We put it through a pug mill because it gets all the air out the clay to start with, which makes your job a lot easier. So you haven't got too much wedging to do. So I'm just wedging this into a shape that I can use on the wheel. Should do it. We need to measure very carefully the diameter of this pot. So I have a pair of calipers. I need to get this absolutely right. There we go, that's bang on. So we're going to make our coil. Our first job really is to centre this piece of clay. By centering it, I mean I want the piece of clay running perfectly evenly around the wheel. A little bit of muscle involved in this. So as you can see now, that's spinning pretty evenly. So I'm about to start making the hole in the middle, which will give us our coil. So I've pushed a hole right through to the bottom. So this actual coil is sitting on the wheel head, but with no bottom. So it's got to be a reasonably thick coil of clay, because the thinning I'm going to do when I actually join it to the pot. So we need to do first of our measurements. There we are, that's spot on. So this now is exactly the same diameter as that one up there. Okay, that's what we need there. That can just sit there for the moment. And we go back to the original. So I'm just going to rough up the edge just to get a good join and make sure everything can key together well. Good, that looks okay. Got to turn this over and place it precisely on top of this one. That's pretty good. So we now want to cut away this bit. The back that it's sitting on, we don't need that. So I just get a wire, slit it through the top. Now the join, this is crucial that you get this right, because this is the thing that's going to hold it onto the other pot. Just going to push that down a bit, make sure that it's joined well. Okay, we've got to carry on this curve and create our new pot, really, I suppose. So we've just got to make sure everything's nicely in the centre. Make sure this join is really good and strong. A little ledge there which we had on the bottom piece, we just want to get rid of now. And at this stage, we're really getting close to what the final shape of the second bit's going to be like. So we've got a nice, fat, generous curve, a bit like my belly. So you really want to make sure that this key bit around that curve and around that join is okay, because that's crucial. We've got one more layer to go on top of this. So again, I've got to roughen up the edge here to ensure that when we join it, we're going to get a nice solid join. So there we are, that's it for stage 2. It's got to come off again. So I'll just stick that on there for the moment. Again, I'm just getting this clay centrally running in the middle of the wheel. Should fit onto our original one. Again, I'm going to use the rib just to give it a nice bit of keying. It's like when you mix two concretes together, you want it to join. Now, this is how, if we've measured it properly, it should fit on here about right. That's good enough for rock and roll. So we do the same thing now, we just join it up. Get our ribbon, just make sure that's a really good join in there. So we're ready to start again, throwing on up the pot. First thing, just make sure that join is really good inside. So I don't want a sort of weedy, thin looking rim on it. So I'm going to keep this fairly thick. Start out and have a look. Yeah, that's fine. So we need to work on the top now, bringing this neck right in. Now, I think we need to work on the top now, because it really needs to be established before we put too much pressure on the neck. So I need to come in a bit more. completely right. Don't want any dribbles here. It's quite nice to establish a little ring there, just to give it a sort of, I don't know, it just seems to finish it off nicely in some way. So what I have is a little tool that I drilled out of a piece of plastic, and it gives me a little round. So we get a perfect little round there. Final finishing. So we need to just get rid of some of these throwing lines. They are part of the process, and on certain pots, if I was making pots that were undecorated, I wouldn't be doing this. The fact that these need decorating, it means we do have to have a nice smooth surface. Just bringing it down to quite a narrow base, because the narrower the base is, as long as it's stable, the more elegance you've got in the rest of the pot. I mean, the main tools I use for this are credit cards, Indian takeaway cards, anything that is flexible will just help me to remove those ridges that we've got. So we'll just run a little bit of clay water down here just to make sure everything's running in the right way. There we are, that's it. That's how you make a pot out of 3 separate pieces of clay.